How many of you would say that you'd found the magic in life? And would you convincingly be able to explain to somebody how you'd done that? To people who would say that they have also done it. I wonder how you'd go about it. Now, if you was explaining such a thing to people who had taken a lot of entheogens, done a lot of meditation, and are practicing spiritualists, then you would find some sort of a realm of agreement. And this agreement would be something like, when we enter into a higher state of consciousness, then we feel the connection, we feel the oneness, we feel an integral part of everything. We don't feel separate. Now, we've all heard bandied around for years and years the oneness and nothing separate and all this sort of thing, and yet many of us feel very, very separate, and that's where the issue lies, because many haven't had the occasion to experience the ego dissolution, where you no longer feel separate. When we have ego dissolution, people, your consciousness melds into the oneness. You feel the oneness. You feel a huge expanse of consciousness. There is no individuality. There's no individuation. There is isness. There is consciousness, and you're a part of it. And the ego isn't there. The ego has been set aside momentarily. Now, in psychedelic terms, this is called ego death. But of course, it isn't the death of the ego. It's just the setting aside of the ego. The ego goes offline when we take certain substances which take us into a different realm of consciousness. You could say a higher realm, but it's just a different realm. And when we're in this different realm, we feel the glory of cosmic isness. You can call it God, if you so wish. You can call it the realm of what of deity you follow or have an adherence to. And when you feel this, then you know that thing, that essence, that beauty, that connection, that love is actually there. And so I've experienced this love thing so many occasions now. So many occasions. And it's amazing. Because it wasn't really until yesterday that I just finally accepted that it's just been my emotional pain body and my resentment for childhood traumas that I've projected onto the world, that I've rejected love. And it's a very childish thing. And the reason why it's childish is because it's coming from a child. It's coming from the inner child, the child that had the misfortune to be traumatized and was closed down, was hurt, was unloved and banished from family realms, society realms, all different sorts of things, like I was. And then you become very insular and you create varying parts called protectors, which help you then protect your fragility through the rest of your life. Now, this is what I'm working on through my therapy, and it's a very good therapy. My therapist is a PhD doctor in psychology, and she works in psychodynamics. Psychodynamics involves regression back to times of trauma, and then you hang around there, you look at them, you feel them, you love them, you forgive them, you embrace them, and you become one with them. And you no longer leave them in a darkened room, terrified of the world. It's very much along the lines of Plato's cave. Plato's allegory of the cave, where there were prisoners chained up in a cave, and one of them escaped to see the light, and then he came back in and told the others, and the others were all very steeped in what their life had always been. They weren't willing to extend themselves to something beyond their comprehension. It was too frightening for them. So they told him all effectively to fuck off. And they stayed among the shadows on the wall. Now, when we are hurt, children, we remain chained, shackled in darkness, and the child never grows up from that point. It is frozen in time, and the child, if it's going to be emancipated, and if the child is going to be assimilated with the adult has to go back and rescue, retrieve, embrace that lonely, troubled child, and bring the child into the light, into the future, into the present time, into you, into the present you. And when you do that, it's very emancipating. So we can do it partially by therapy. We can do it partially via entheogens. We can do it partially by deep work with psychology, learning all about these therapies and how the mind and body and emotional states work and things like that. We can do it via extended deep meditation over years and years. We can be fortunate enough to have things, phenomena, like samadhi. Samadhi means effectively when we enter into that oneness, when our ego goes offline momentarily and we are completely emancipated from that thing that most people think they are. And when that happens, you realise that you're not the ego. The ego is just an operating system. The ego has become an egregore. It's become a living corporeal entity, because the vast majority of human beings proclaim that they are the I, the me. Who's saying the I and the me? It's the ego. My hand, my bag, my phone, my eyes, me. Yes, all that's mine. I'm separate from you, you go away from me, and all this stuff. Who and what is doing that? The ego. Spirit isn't going to be doing that, because spirit knows that that's all there is, and everything else is just an illusion. It's all Maya, as far as what the Buddhists would say. And Maya just means that what we see is an illusion. It's not like there isn't anything there, but what we perceive to be there isn't what we think it is. And so this then gets very, very complex. We get into all different sorts of metaphysics and ontology and spirituality, we get very, very deep in philosophy, spiritual philosophy, before we really try to work out what that means. But there is this space that we can find, and as I've said, I've found it through all those portals that I've spoken about many, many, many times with the entheogens, a handful of times with deep meditation, and about 3 times when I've experienced samadhi, when I've just been like walking on a day like today, and all of a sudden my consciousness just fades away, and then you stop, and you're aghast because everything is for you. You're blessed, you belong, you're loved, you're precious. Everything is an extension of you. The world is the most incredible and beautiful of places, and you could never ever find fault. Why? Because the ego isn't there to separate you from it. When you're not separated from it, you can't find fault with it because it's you. And when you feel as if you're separated from it through the delusion of the human experience via the ego, that's when all the trouble starts. So how do we get into these spaces? We meditate. We take lots of long walks alone in nature. We exercise. We exercise very vigorously, people, because it's through vigorous exercise which gets our heart and lungs working to the maximum capacity. And when that happens, you get flushed with oxygen, and in many, many states, then through breathing alone, you will enter into samadhi. Or at the very least, you'll just feel fantastic because your whole body is flushed with endorphins. And when your body's flushed with endorphins, well, you feel magic, don't you? And so, when I was running years and years ago, I used to be really, really super fit. And I would just run and run and run. And I would be pushing myself so hard that literally I thought I might die of a heart attack, because my heart was beating so powerfully, so rapidly, and I was really gasping for breath because I was pushing myself so hard. But after that, the overall buzz, it's like nothing you ever would have experienced. Nothing can compare to that, to feeling super efficient in your body, what your body was designed to be. Feeling like a Mohican that can run for miles and miles and miles through forestation and up mountains and things like that. Never getting exhausted or out of breath. It's just water off a duck's back for those. Well, you see, when they're out in nature and they're feeling like that within the elements, you know that they have this incredible connection with the natural world. So it's the natural world, people, that gives us that motherly, womb-like feeling. When we enter into the womb, when we know we are all one, we enter into the cosmic womb, people. And it all pertains to the ego being dissipated. And then you'll feel incredible, unbelievably incredible. And on days like today, and I'm gazing up at these incredible clouds, I will never, ever, ever stop being mesmerized by the clouds, because the clouds, every time I look at them, they are God. Now, I would think most certainly it's got something to do with the 200 sojourns I've taken with DMT. And when you take DMT and you look at the clouds, then very often you can see God and angels and Greek gods in togas and all these sort of things, and it's such a powerful experience. And You know that this thing is bigger. You just know it's huge. And you know that you're one with it. And you're protected. Because all that stuff up there, you would think it could terrify you if it wanted to. But it doesn't. It just allows you to see it in certain states of consciousness. So, when you're very healthy, holistically healthy, cardiovascularly and muscularly, you're eating well, and you're getting plenty of sleep and all that, and you're doing some meditation, and you're getting out in nature at least 3 times a week for a decent period. Most every day, just to walk out in nature, all weathers. When you're educating yourselves with the spiritual scriptures and human psychology, when you're doing the introspection, you take yourself to therapy. You learn how to find the keys to unlock your inner core. And of course, you take entheogens. Well, you know that you are God. It is God, because everything is God. And you know that this world is vastly more than scientists could ever imagine. It just is, people. It just is. It's in a different realm. It's in a much higher and more advanced realm than what any scientist could contemplate. Scientists are contemplating from the ego. The ego is a fiction. It's the fiction which enables us to have a human experience. But we're not human. We're spirit having a human experience. We have human avatars which don't actually consist of any matter. It's all Maya. So when we get in touch with that, what we really are, spirit, when the ego goes offline, it's a whole different ballgame, people. It's a whole different ballgame. And then, all these so-called things that bother you in your lives will just seem so meaningless. And you won't be chasing paper anymore. You won't be chasing that big house, that big car, that promotion. You won't be flying around the country. You won't be on trains, planes and automobiles. You won't be sitting in the office for 12 hours a day. No. You'll be sitting in your garden. You'll be reading a book. You'll be enjoying the fact that a butterfly comes to land on you. That birds will sing very closely with you. And when the sun shines on you, and maybe you can take your shirt off and get a tan for once in your life. And you can start walking, maybe running, and feeling a little bit fit. And feeling the human body upon the world. You won't need anything else then. When all those things, you'll just let them all slip away. Just like I have. I had the big houses, the land, the cars, the boats, the holidays, all that sort of stuff. It was fun, but it was empty. And now I'm full. What am I full of? I'm full of the knowledge that I am God. I'm full of Holy Spirit. I'm self-realized Holy Spirit. And the ego is just a character that is enabling spirit to have this human experience, which of course we have to be grateful for, but we can't let it run away with itself and consider and tell us that it is the be-all and the end, because it's not. It's not even the beginning.